7 Wits University students are among 9 people killed in a road crash in Limpopo. Gauteng motorists have until midnight to register and qualify for a 60% e-toll discount or face penalties. A very happy Monday to you. You're watching Enews Direct. I'm Tutuzile Ramela.
And I'm Sandy Legangose. Good evening.
To comment on any of our stories, you can of course find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at Enews Direct.
And you can also track our main stories using the following hashtags: Wits and e-tolls.
We start with this. Wits University is mourning the loss of 7 students. They're among 9 people killed in an accident in Limpopo last night. 6 other students are in a serious condition in hospital. They were on their way back from a church meeting.
This is all that remains of the taxi transporting a group of students to a church event in Limpopo. The vehicle struck the trailer of a truck that had been involved in an earlier accident and burst into flames. The accident took place between Mokgopong and Mokopane.
Unfortunately, while they were waiting for the breakdown, there comes a minibus carrying the passengers that were attending the church pilgrimage at Molechi. And that quantum hit the trailer of that truck at the rear, and the quantum caught fire.
It's believed the students were members of the Wits ZCC church group.
The university has now dispatched a team to gather further information on the ground. We are aware that about 6 surviving people may also be Wits students who are in a hospital nearby.
Many have taken to social media to express their shock. At least 20 people have died in accidents in Limpopo this long weekend.
The National Prosecuting Authority is still assessing its options in the so-called spy tapes case. Last week, the North Gauteng High Court said the NPA's decision to drop charges against President Jacob Zuma was irrational and must be reviewed. One advocate believes an appeal is unlikely to succeed.
7 years ago, the NPA dropped 783 charges against Jacob Zuma, paving the way for him to become president. On Friday, the North Gauteng High Court set aside that decision.
The decision of the first respondent dated 1st April 2009 to discontinue the prosecution of the case against the third respondent in accordance with the indictment served on him on the 28th December 2007 is reviewed and set aside.
According to one advocate, last week's judgment effectively means the charges against Zuma now stand.
We are at the place now where effectively the charges have been automatically reinstated by virtue of the hurdle that was in the way of the prosecution being struck down by the decision of Ledwaba and his court.
Judge Aubrey Ledwaba said it was not up to then prosecution's boss Mokotedi Mshe to drop the charges, but instead the decision should have been made by the courts. Now, current NPA head Sean Abrahams must decide whether to reinstate the charges and prosecute Zuma.
The decision is whether to proceed. Alternatively, it's a decision as to whether to take a new decision to withdraw the charges. And another decision it needs to make is, in fact, whether it's going to appeal Friday's decision.
It's not yet clear how the NPA will respond. Meanwhile, President Zuma's office is still considering the judgment. Malungi Elobui, Johannesburg.
Government has dismissed the EFF's vote-rigging claims against the Independent Electoral Commission. Now, during its manifesto launch on Saturday, the party accused the IEC of stealing its votes in the 2014 national elections. But government has slammed the claims as wrong, misleading and malicious. In a statement, the Ministry of Cooperative Governance issued a stern warning to the EFF, saying its malicious attack on the commission is also a brutal attack on the Constitution. The ministry added that it's confident the upcoming local government elections will be free and fair. Concerns are mounting about the possible resurgence of mob justice in Philippi outside Cape Town. Police are investigating a double murder after 2 unidentified charred bodies were discovered in a hole.
Residents of small home farms in formal settlement woke to a grim discovery on Sunday. They found 2 charred bodies dumped in a hole in the area. Speculation is rife that they could be victims of mob justice, something the settlement is no stranger to. However, community members refuse to speak on camera for fear of reprisal.
People, they get so upset that when they call police don't respond immediately. And then they will discover victims of people that are found here killed in the morning.
The SAPS have yet to identify the bodies but are investigating a case of double murder. No arrests have yet been made and police are appealing for witnesses to come forward. Makasi says that there is still insufficient policing in the area and that the community is becoming increasingly frustrated by high levels of crime. He says that although he understands the community's grievances, mob justice is not the answer.
People must not take law into their hands. We understand their frustrations. We are engaging with the police management.
The CPF says this is the latest incident to take place in the area in recent weeks. And with dwindling trust between the police and the community, they have little faith that the suspects will be brought to book. Bongatlane, Philippi in Cape Town.
Motorists have until midnight to take advantage of a 60% discount on their outstanding e-tolls bills. SANRAL has offered Gauteng road users the concession, all in an effort to collect outstanding debt. The roads agency says its system has been bombarded with last-minute registrations.
According to SANRAL, an estimated 300,000 road users have benefited from the road agency's 60% e-toll discount. But from tomorrow, Gauteng motorists who've defaulted on payments will face the full cost of driving on tolled roads from as far back as 2013. And non-payment of toll fees when making use of these roads is a criminal offence. The e-toll system has been met with resistance from many Gauteng motorists. Some continue to defy the payment system despite the discounts offered.
No, I refuse to do that. And I think everyone in the country has to reject the system.
It's a bit of a knock in the pocket because of the petrol expense plus the e-tolls, but that's why I'd rather use non-highway routes.
No, I have not paid and I will never pay.
Part of the new e-toll dispensation announced in 2015 included blocking the renewal of licensed discs for non-paying vehicles. SANRAL says it has yet to implement this measure. So what happens next? Well, according to SANRAL, if you have not taken advantage of the discount, you're now liable to pay your full e-toll debt accumulated over the last few years. And don't be surprised when you're issued with court summons. The road agency says it plans to take legal steps to recover all monies owed. Sikelelwa Mdingi, Johannesburg.
A quick look at world news now, when 2 police officers have been killed and over 24 others wounded in a suicide car bomb attack in southeastern Turkey. The region has been rocked by violence since July last year, when leftist organization Kurdistan Workers' Party abandoned a 2-year ceasefire. The army launched security operations, which it says have killed thousands of militants. But the government refuses to return to the negotiating table, vowing to dissolve the PKK. Turkey, the European Union and the United States have branded the PKK a terrorist organization. Thousands of people have been killed in a series of blasts around the country over the past year. And embattled Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff has vowed to fight for her position a week ahead of an impeachment vote. She was addressing thousands of people attending a May Day rally in Sao Paulo. Rousseff described the impeachment drive as a coup aimed at returning the country's center-right to power. Last month, Brazil's lower house of parliament voted to start impeachment proceedings against Rousseff. She's been accused of manipulating government accounts. ANC Youth League President Colin Maine, now dubbed Oros, has been trending on Twitter. This after City Press reported he may have been backed by the Guptas to attain a 5.4 million rand home loan from the Bank of India. The report says the monthly repayment of the bond amounts to 140,000 rand. Social media users say Maine should come clean about how he's able to afford the repayment. And we end off with this. A handful of people held a march against gangsterism in the city of Cape Town. The group wants more police in gang and drug-affected areas, harsher sentences for gangsters, and an end to apartheid-style town planning. The organizers say although the turnout was disappointing, their demands are still valid. Remember, we do love to hear from you. You can check us out on Twitter and Facebook. That's at Enews Direct, or you can head on over to our website. That's enca.com/direct. Do stay with us. After the break, we've got your detailed weather forecast and your business news. Money matters now, and South Africa's largest grain terminal is ready to receive millions of tons of maize to meet the shortfall caused by drought. The Durban Airport terminal is poised to handle the biggest share of shipments from across the world. The country will import almost 4 million tons of maize over the next 12 months.
A precious resource at the height of the worst drought in South Africa since 1992. Tons of maize from across the world are being processed at this silo in Durban. The terminal is one of 3 in the city that are playing a lead role in receiving and transporting maize across the country.
We've got a joint operations center. This is the center that really is going to be looking at the entire supply chain and say from when the cargo arrives here to when it gets to the destination, where are the problems, how are we going to deal with those? Where we're going to review each vessel and understand exactly the state of readiness for handling that vessel and evacuation of cargo.
Government anticipates that the country will need to import around 2.7 million tons of yellow maize and 1.1 million tons of white maize between now and April 2017. Last month, a shipment of over 1,300 tons of white maize arrived from the US, South Africa's largest maize import since 2004. Durban port officials say they understand how dire the crop yield shortfall is and are committed to ensuring a fast turnaround of arriving cargo.
The capacity is a function of a number of things. One of them is to how often or how quick do we turn around vessels. Secondly, it will be how often do we turn around the tanks and silos. So if we move fast on both those areas, we can increase capacity, but we're looking at any given month, we handle up to 660,000 tons a month.
Maize imports will arrive from countries like the US and Mexico. Judith Subin, Durban.
And bad news for some motorists. The petrol price will increase by 12 cents a litre from Wednesday. But for those driving diesel vehicles, you'll be paying slightly less to top up your tank. The diesel price is dropping by between 1 and 2 cents a litre. The higher petrol price is being blamed on the rising oil price and greater demand for fuel in the US and Europe. But a stronger rand has helped prevent a steeper increase. The latest petrol price hike comes after a hefty increase in April. Let's check in with the Weather Centre now. Here's Louis.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Weather Centre. A quick look at your Tuesday's weather, and we're expecting it to be cloudy at first for some parts over the southern coastline and the adjacent interior. Much of that cloud will disappear later on, while the rest of the country will be sunny and dry. It's going to be a cold morning, especially for the central parts and over the mountainous areas. In the east, an upper air trough will be moving overhead. That's going to bring an increase in cloud cover to some parts of the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal, and there is also a slight possibility for a couple of showers over those areas. And we can see the likelihood for showers on the detailed forecast over southern and eastern KwaZulu-Natal. This will be moving through from the afternoon, spreading northwards towards evening. It's also going to be a cold start to the day for the interior. A couple of degrees cooler on Tuesday for the Eastern Cape, upper teens and low 20s. Showers likely for some areas, except in the far north where it will remain dry. In the Western Cape, it's going to be a warmer day, especially along the Atlantic seaboard. Vredendal slightly further inland gets to a high of 27. The Northern Cape will be sunny and dry on Tuesday. It will be cold at first, especially for the southern parts, Sutherland dropping below freezing. Temperatures will start off around freezing for some parts of the Free State, although Welkom will be slightly warmer at 5, getting to a high of 23 in the afternoon. And the sunshine continues in the northwest. It'll be a cool to cold morning, but in the afternoon it will be pleasantly warm, a couple of degrees warmer than it was today. Very similar for Limpopo, hot in the Lowveld in the afternoon, and we could also see some fog across the eastern escarpment in the morning, keeping things partly cloudy for Mbombela in the afternoon. A chilly morning expected for the southern parts of Mpumalanga, 3 degrees to start you off in Standerton. And in Gauteng, cold at first, warming up nicely in the afternoon, temperatures reaching the mid to upper 20s. Looking further ahead to Wednesday, and it's going to be dry for much of the country, although there could be a bit of light rain at first for Richards Bay, perhaps even along the escarpments, including Mbombela. And by Thursday, it's going to be sunny for almost all of the country, and temperatures continue rising in the west, Cape Town reaching a maximum of 28.
Thank you, Louis. After the break, the legacy of late Maskandi legend Mtshengiseni Gwensa comes to life in the first book to document his genre of music. Welcome back. Now, the first book about a Maskandi musician in the country has been published.
Yep, and it celebrates the life and times of the late Maskandi legend Mtshengiseni Gwensa.
And the title of the book, Indidane Maskandi.
Song and dance, celebrating the life of a legend. With more than 20 awards under his belt and close to 2 decades in the music industry, Mtshengiseni Gwensa is regarded as one of the best musicians South Africa ever saw. The author of the book says there's still a long way to go in producing more Maskandi and traditional music literature.
After his death last year, we felt that there is a need to keep his legacy going. And what was easy for us was that already before his pass, we had done interviews with regard to coming up with printing a book on his name.
Fellow musicians who worked with the late Gwensa say the first book ever to be published about a Maskandi artist is a step in the right direction.
I miss him a lot. I won't forget Mtshengiseni because he was a grateful musician in South Africa.
Yes! Yes!
Fans also welcome the book about their late hero. Gwensa died last July after a long illness. Thousands of people from all over South Africa attended his funeral.
A reminder of the day's top stories before we say goodbye. 7 Wits University students are among 9 people killed in a road crash in Limpopo. Gauteng motorists have until midnight to register and qualify for a 60% e-toll discount or face penalties. And that's your Monday edition of Enews Direct.
Until next time, good night.